Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto learned the secret of the shadow clone jutsu during his training trip with Jiraiya, leading to him meeting his father early. Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Walking down a dirt road leading out of the village hidden in the leaves, or Konohagakure, surrounded by the massive trees that help hide one of the 5 great hidden villages, we find our hero Naruto Uzumaki. He is a spiky blonde-haired boy with 3 whisker marks on each cheek, bronze-tanned skin, cerulean eyes, and is wearing an orange jumpsuit with a white collar, navy blue going along the shoulders and upper back, a red swirl circle in between his shoulder blades, a kunai holster on his right thigh, a beige weapons pouch on his right butt cheek, a forehead protector with a leaf symbol, which denotes his affiliation with Konohagakure, and black shinobi sandals. He's walking slightly behind his sensei, one of the 3 legendary Sannin Jiraiya, starting on his 2.5-year training trip. Jiraiya is a tall and well-built man in adulthood with fair skin. He has a wart on the left side of his nose and waist length, spiky white hair tied back into a ponytail, with 2 shoulder-length bangs framing his face. There are red lines under his eyes which extend further down his face all the way to the bottom. His attire consists of a green short shirt kimono and matching pants, under which he wears mesh armor that is visible at his wrists and ankles. He also wears hand guards, a black belt, traditional Japanese wooden sandals, and a red haori with 2 yellow circles on each side. He's carrying a large scroll on his back, and has a tattoo on his left palm, and wears a horned forehead protector with the kanji for oil, which denotes his affiliation with Mount Myoboku. This normally hyperactive 13-year-old shinobi is lost in thought, wondering how he'll get strong enough to bring back his friend Sasuke for the girl he loves, Sakura, all in the premise of keeping his promise of a lifetime to her. Sure, he has his own reasons for wanting to save Sasuke from becoming Orochimaru's next vessel. After all, he is the closest thing to a brother he's ever had, and that's not a bond he wants to lose. But even after fighting him with everything he had and more, with the help of the 9-tailed fox boosting his power exponentially, he still lost to Sasuke's superior powers and techniques. Not to say he wasn't as fast or strong as Sasuke, but he had more jutsu, superior skills with kunai and shuriken, and stronger taijutsu than he has. So he figured that meant he'd be working on all of those areas of a shinobi's skills and was now getting excited to get started, so asked Jiraiya, "Hey pervy sage, what awesome jutsu am I going to learn first?" Jiraiya responds with a little irritation at being referred to as pervy sage, "You won't be learning any new jutsu yet. We need to focus on bringing up your basic skills first. Then, and only then, can I start on actually teaching you jutsu." A despondent Naruto whines, "Oh come on, that's boring. I can't waste time on that weak crap. I need more jutsu and work on bettering my taijutsu." Jiraiya snaps back, "You can't learn any of those without a better base of skills to build off of." Naruto says, "What do you mean by that, pervy sage? Why can't you just teach me super cool badass jutsu?" Jiraiya, with a breath of frustration at Naruto's ignorance, answers, "Because without a strong enough base your body wouldn't be able to handle it. Think of trying to build a house on 2x4s held between 2 boulders. They'd snap at the weight of the building being built on top of them." Naruto responds with face and tone of understanding, and maybe a little fear, "Oh ooh, so my body might break apart trying." Then with confidence and strength says, "I can take any pain or hardships if means I can save Sasuke." Jiraiya with a rare moment of seriousness says, "It takes more than a strong will and nerves of steel to master the art of the shinobi. The damage, the backlash of a powerful jutsu won't just hurt, it can and will kill you. Then you won't be saving anyone from your very painful and horrid end." Naruto with an even rarer moment of understanding shakily says, "Oh okay, but how long will that take? Because I can't afford to spend all of my time just building up my basic skills while Sasuke gets stronger and stronger." Jiraiya answers, hopefully within 1 year, but that will depend entirely on you and how hard you work. Naruto and Jiraiya, after having stopped walking, now facing each other, are quiet for a minute before Naruto with his classic fox-like grin says, "Then I'll have it down in half that time, because I'll work till I drop every day. That way we'll have more time to learn some badass jutsus. Believe it." In response to this, Jiraiya's face slowly turns into a grin, then into full-blown laughter, "Ahaha. I should have known I couldn't keep you down for long. Maybe with that attitude you'll get the basics down in 3 months." Naruto asks hopefully, "Do you really think so?" Jiraiya responds, "Who knows, miracles do happen. Ha ha ha." With a firm pout on his face, yet still with a hint of determination, Naruto yells back, "Just watch me, pervy sage, I'll do it and wipe that stupid look off your face, believe it." Jiraiya's laughter lightens down to a small chuckle replies, "Well then, you got 3 months to do it, and if you do I'll teach you whatever jutsu you want, but if you can't, then you'll train in whatever way I say without complaints, deal?" Naruto answers without hesitation, "Sure, it's a deal. I'll win too because I don't give up and I'll never go back on my word, believe it." Jiraiya offering his hand says, "It's a deal then." Naruto takes his hand and shakes it while responding, "Deal." As they separate and head on their way, Jiraiya believes he just pulled one over on Naruto, but fails to realize that Naruto's luck always finds a way to bring him a win on any bet. Just ask his fat Gamma-chan and Tsunade about it. 2 weeks later we find Naruto despondently eating a full course of the accursed green, his least favorite color, that goes by the name of vegetables. He's inside a local restaurant a few towns over from Konoha, having to eat them all because of his old perv of a sensei is making him. Ever since they made their bet, pervy sage has been drilling the basics into him like a demon, or a perverted demon with an agenda to peek on the nearest women's bathhouse, so Jiraiya relentlessly beats Naruto into the ground every day, so he can run off for his research as quickly as possible. That's not to say his training is ineffective or weak, on the contrary it's doing wonders to increasing Naruto's strength, from chakra control, repelling genjutsu, kunai and shuriken skills, to his taijutsu. The real problem lies in the fact that Jiraiya tricked him into agreeing to eat vegetables every time he fails to score a point on him in their spars. That old perv is as tough as they come. Not only has he failed to touch him even once, every hit Jiraiya makes tends to leave bruises down to his bones. Sure, it's not as bad as getting hit by Ba-chan, but still it hurts like hell. The veggies after are the worst kind of treatment after his training. He should have known that perv offering to teach him a jutsu early if can hit him in a spar was a setup, but come on, how could he pass up a chance learn a jutsu? What an idiot he is now, stuck eating his least favorite color food. On top of all of that, his progress to finishing his basic training wasn't even close to reaching the 3-month goal. At this rate he'll finish maybe in a year or 2, damn it all to hell. So in a poor attempt to spy on the pervy sage to possibly learn something really cool, he sends a shadow clone to follow him after every training session, only to end in failure every single time. The bright side is it takes a little longer for pervy sage to lose his clone every time he goes off somewhere. How does Naruto know this? That's simple. When his clone loses the perv he comes back and reports to the original that's stuck eating vegetables. This time is different though, because mid-bite of the accursed green, Naruto get a flash of memories from his clone following the perv and catching him neck-deep in women, sake, and money. Damn it, he should have known that's all he'd find when looking for that old pervert. Wait a minute, how did he know all that? A look of pure confusion came across the blonde's whiskered face. His face scrunched up lost in deep thought, wondering how he had the memories of his clone. Steam soon came off of his head, leading him to face plant on top of his food with swirls in his eyes. It seemed too much thought in one moment lead to his mind overheating, go figure. Later that evening, with the sun just starting to pass over the horizon, Naruto finds himself being carried by a mess of white hair, stinking of sake and shame, to their hotel. Apparently, Jiraiya noticed Naruto's clone bursting as it charged the old perv trying to hit him for wasting his time following him, who knew he could be so observant with a pair of in his face. What Naruto didn't know was that those brothels Jiraiya visits all the time are a large source of his extensive spy network. After all, who would think such a lecherous man in the middle of such debauchery would be gaining vital information? Then again, most men tend to be loose-tongued around beautiful women that are getting them drunk and lost in pleasure, thus making them the perfect eyes and ears for his spy network, plus the added benefit of getting to spend time with beautiful women. Jiraiya is forced to leave his fun work early to go find the little idiot, knowing he'd have questions over getting memories of his clone. He didn't expect to find a passed-out Naruto at table with steam coming off his head and swirls for eyes. Sighing, the perv pays for the kid's food and lifts Naruto onto his back and heads back to their hotel room. On their way to the hotel, Naruto starts screaming at the perv for what his clone saw. What the hell, pervy sage? While I'm stuck eating crap and finishing my training, you're getting your perv on with a bunch of ladies. Interrupting himself, wait a minute, how do I even know that? Jiraiya responds, what, you seriously didn't know about the memory transfer ability of the shadow clone jutsu? I mean, that's what it was created for, to spy or infiltrate dangerous areas without having to risk your life. How could you not notice that aspect of shadow clone jutsu with how often you use it, idiot? Naruto, looking rather bashful, says, well, nobody ever told me that, and I'm a little busy trying to kick ass or not die to notice my clone's memories in battle. Jiraiya responds with a sigh, Kami kid, how have you made it this far as a shinobi being that dense? With anger and a blush on his face yells, hey! Don't call me an idiot, you old pervert of a sage. How have you not been killed by some random bimbo with how perverted you are? Jiraiya raising his own voice while tossing Naruto off his back, because unlike you I am an experienced shinobi who can come off as an idiotic, lecherous fool while being aware of everything going around me. You're 100 years too young to judge me, brat. After recovering from being dropped on his butt, Naruto replies, yeah right, you perv. You're just covering your butt for being caught red-handed in your perverted ways. Jiraiya responds, whatever Gaki, it still doesn't take away from your own stupidity for not knowing how your own jutsu works. And take it from me, that has been the end of many a shinobi. So from now on you're not to use any jutsu in the future without knowing everything it does, is that clear? Seeing the serious face of Jiraiya, Naruto just nods his head yes. Jiraiya continues, good, now that you know all about the shadow clone jutsu, let's head back to our room and get some sleep. First thing in the morning we continue your training. As Jiraiya turns to head to the hotel, Naruto asks, wait, can't I use clones to speed up my training? Jiraiya answers, no, any physical training won't help with clones, because only mental information goes back to the creator. Naruto replies, okay, but what about training that only takes getting a feel for something, like breaking genjutsu and chakra control? Jiraiya stops and puts his hand to his chin to think for a minute, then responds, yeah, maybe, I never really thought about it that way before. Usually I only use a clone for training when practicing dangerous and life-threatening jutsu. Maybe using clones will increase your experience with certain jutsu and practices, but things like increasing your speed, power, and stamina can't be helped other than being done by you directly. Hump, it's an original idea for sure, but then again you are known for doing things outside the box. Yeah, I mean, think of it. With 2 clones working on the same jutsu it'd cut the time to learn it in half. 3 clones a third as long. 4 clones a fourth, and so on and so forth. In theory you could gain years of experience in a week. At this point Jiraiya has a huge grin on his face, which only drops when Naruto says, yeah, with the number of clones I can make I'll win that bet for sure. Ha ha ha. The horror of that truth sends Jiraiya into a depression. Damn my loud mouth. Now he's going to demand an endless number of jutsus for me to teach him. I'm going to lose out on so much peeking I mean research for my books. Jiraiya thought with never-ending horror written across his face, followed by a river of anime tears. All the while Naruto is practically skipping with joy to the hotel with a foxy grin on his face and his arms behind his head. He's daydreaming of all the jutsus he'll soon be learning from Pervy Sage. A month and 2 weeks later, an exhausted Naruto lays spread out in open field breathing hard, trying to catch his breath. Yet he has a large smile plastered across his face because he just finished all the basic training needed for him to win his bet with Perry Sage, just in time too. The shadow clone method of training that he and Jiraiya came up with was a lifesaver for sure. Without it he would have ended up spending most of his 2.5 years just working on increasing his basic abilities. Maybe with enough spare time learn one new jutsu. How lame would that be? The only downside to this training showed itself on the first day. After making 1,000 clones and dividing them up to work on everything, from breaking genjutsu exercises, chakra control, kunai and shuriken practice, and going over his existing jutsu to perfect them, while he focused on body conditioning and sparring with Perry Sage. He even got the perv to make him leg weights like Lee's, but with seals to slowly increase the weight, starting at a more bearable weight, then working up to what Lee's were at during the Chunin exams. After dispelling all of his clones that day he blacked out from the accumulated fatigue from the 1,000 clones. He woke up midday 2 days later. Jiraiya tried to talk him out of using the clones, saying it was too dangerous and that they just barely dodged a kunai this time. Naruto refused, saying that he was only saying that to win the bet. Plus when he showed Pervy Sage the results the training method produced after a single use almost convinced him. Naruto could now break mid-level genjutsu, his chakra control is twice what it was, his aim with kunai and shuriken is vastly improved, and could now perform all of his jutsus in nearly half the time from before. So the Pervy Sage came to a compromise by having Naruto use only 500 shadow clones a day until he could better handle the strain. Naruto would still pass out after dispelling the clones, but would wake up in a few hours instead of a few days. Eventually, he got back up to 1,000 clones. Thanks to this training method, he was able to win his bet with Jiraiya and now could learn any jutsu he wanted from the perv. After all, his chakra control was almost perfect, he could break most genjutsu with the exception of master genjutsu users of course. His use of kunai and shuriken are perfect to the point that only someone like Tenten or someone with Sharingan could do better, and now he can do the Rasengan one-handed without the help of a shadow clone. On top of all of that, his body conditioning made him twice as strong, gave him larger amounts of stamina, and his speed is at Lee's level without his weights. He has now increased his leg weights and will keep going for as long as he possibly can. Now he is able to land a few points on Jiraiya in their sparring sessions too. With all of those results, Jiraiya had no other choice but to admit that Naruto had won their bet. With a little resignation and pride in his voice Jiraiya says, "Congratulations Gaki, you won the bet, even though it could be considered cheating using all of those clones to speed up your training, but then again, so can natural talent and the Sharingan, so whatever." Secretly Jiraiya knew that only Naruto with his massive amounts of chakra and stamina could use this method without killing himself, so it was very impressive all the same. Naruto, slightly perturbed and smug, replies, "Yeah, I know I'm awesome, and you're just upset you lost our bet and now have to pay up." Saying all of this while still unable to get up off the ground, but still with a big grin on his face. Jiraiya responds, "Yeah, while your accomplishments are impressive, you're still years away from besting me. Besides, we should at least wait to teach you all of those jutsu until you can stand Gaki." Naruto replies with a deadpan face, "You're just saying that so you can go peeking on women Pervy Sage. Though you still have a point in the fact that I'm still too tired to learn a jutsu right now, but I'll be ready to go in a few hours, so don't get your hopes up." Jiraiya sags a little bit, but snaps right back up to say, "Alright, we'll start up again in 4 hours, so go eat something with at least one vegetable in it, then shower and change your clothes in that time." Naruto replies, "Sure thing Pervy Sage, hopping off the ground and sprinting away, the thrill of learning a new jutsu overriding his exhaustion. Jiraiya can only sigh with a grin at Naruto's rambunctious energy as he begins his thoughts. Maybe it's time to try and loosen the seal of the nine-tailed fox. With the speed of Naruto's progress, he should be ready to handle more of the fox's chakra, even though this is a little earlier than I expected. I know Naruto is going to be upset that I won't be teaching him a jutsu, but I should be able to deflect that by telling him that having more access to the fox's chakra will enable him to do even more powerful jutsu, and we'll work on that once he gets control of the nine tails power. Jiraiya then begins the preparations needed to loosen the seal, so as to ensure the fox doesn't escape during the process, and wondering if he should loosen it a little bit more than planned. After all, Naruto's a lot stronger than he anticipated him to be at this stage of his training. What's the worst that can happen? He'll be there to tighten it back up if he needs to. Naruto is heading to the training site they've been using these past few weeks to meet up with Jiraiya. All in the effort to collect on his winnings by learning a new jutsu. The training grounds are mostly an open field with a river running through it and some large rocks spread about, with the whole area being surrounded by large trees, making it an ideal place to let loose some real badass jutsu. It's been 4 hours after having won the bet, now he's finally going to learn something totally awesome. Like an elemental jutsu that can vaporize a field in a single shot, or that neat hair mane lion, something he's seen pervy sage use. Man, he can't wait, so he starts running full blast towards the training grounds. Once Naruto arrives at the training ground, with a trail of dust following behind him, he notices a toad with a really long scroll-like body standing next to Jiraiya. He wonders if he's going to learning some kind of summoning collaboration just like what Jiraiya does with the chief toad, so he asks, "Hey pervy sage, who's the scroll toad and what's he doing here?" The toad answers before Jiraiya can, "My name is Garotora and I expect you to show me some respect. This scroll happens to be the key to your seal given to me by the fourth Hokage himself, brat." Somewhat bashfully Naruto responds, "Sorry, I didn't mean to be rude, but I didn't know that. Besides, how is it disrespectful to just ask someone their name?" That last part being said with anger. Garotora answers, "Because you were asking Jiraiya and ignoring me while also insulting my looks, brat." Naruto fires back, "Who knew toads were so touchy? And besides, I wasn't insulting the way you look. I was just calling it as I saw it, and by the way, you actually kind of look cool. I was hoping that I'd be learning some kind of cool collaboration jutsu." Garotora responds with a blush, "Oh, thanks I guess. Unfortunately you won't be learning any jutsu from me. I'm not suited for combat. Like I said, I hold the key to the nine-tailed fox's seal." Naruto simply replies, "Oh no biggie, but why are you here then if you're not going to teach me a jutsu? And what does it have to do with the fox?" At this point Jiraiya takes charge of the conversation. "What he's here for is to loosen the nine-tails seal, so you can have access to more of the fox's chakra. Now before you get your panties in a bunch about not learning a jutsu, put in mind that with access to more of the fox's chakra, not only will it increase all of your abilities from strength to speed, but it will also give you access to more chakra. Which means you'll be able to learn more powerful jutsu than otherwise without. Plus, whether you like it or not, you're going to have to learn to control the nine tails power sooner or later. The truth of the matter is that the seal gets weaker with every passing year. Eventually it will fail entirely, and if you're not ready, the fox will escape, killing you in the process." At this point, Naruto's sweating with fear and loudly gulps, leaving him with the only option but to nod his head in understanding. Jiraiya didn't like being so blunt about Naruto's predicament, but he knows anything less than the brutal truth could lead to huge argument with Naruto over the bet. Kami, why did I ever agree to take any bet with Naruto of all people? He thought. Damn, I'm stupid. Unknown to everyone, this event will lead to both Jiraiya's and Naruto's life, along with the entire world of the shinobi, to change forever. As Jiraiya uses the key on the seal on Naruto's stomach, Naruto begins to feel a sudden surge of power flooding through his body, changing his appearance. His finger and toe nails became elongated, along with his canines. His whisker marks became more prominent, his hair more wild and untamed. Naruto felt like things were going to get rough, making him glad he left his headband given to him by Iruka-sensei, and the necklace by Tsunade Ba-chan back in his room. He would never be able to replace such precious items, after all, they were given to him by the few precious people he has in his life. At this point Jiraiya backs off, having loosened the seal by nearly half, and looks to see Naruto being shrouded in red bubbling chakra filled with pure hatred and malice, but Naruto still seemed to be in control of himself, taking the shape of a fox with two tails. It wasn't until the appearance of the third tail that things started to get really going. Naruto, with his eyes completely red and hunch over on all fours howling in rage, causing a shock wave that forced Jiraiya to jump back, started to talk in a deep growling voice, "Man, I feel really strong, but the rage swirling inside is making it hard think." Jiraiya responds with a little relief, "Whoa now Gaki. You had me worried there for a moment. Now I need you to focus on maintaining that power, no more, no less, got that Naruto?" With struggled restraint he replies, "NN no problem pervy saggy, I got this. Believe it." Jiraiya responds with a little trepidation, "Alright Gaki, let's see what you can do in that form." With that said, Jiraiya launches at Naruto with a fully powered Rasengan in his hand. His attack slams into one of Naruto's tails, pushing him back and dispelling the Rasengan in a single swipe. Jiraiya lands several feet back, with him leaving trench marks in his wake. Before he has time to react, Naruto is in his face, sending an uppercut to his chin. The sage is sent flying through the air so fast all that he can hear is the sharp whistling of wind in his ears. Before Naruto can jump into the air to finish the fight, he finds himself bound by white hair in the shape of a lion coming out of the ground. Seeing nothing but a smashed log in the air, Naruto is pulled underground by the sea of white. Jiraiya smashes out of the ground with his hair receding back to its normal length, though somewhat sizzling at the ends, and unleashes a powerful stream of fire mixed with oil into the hole he made, leaving Naruto trapped underground. As the ground begins to melt and crack under the sage's onslaught, the ground underneath Jiraiya has a red chakra hand burst out and grab him, forcing him end his jutsu. With a rumble and a roar, Naruto causes the ground to explode out from around him, revealing himself to be completely unharmed. Jiraiya would be impressed if it wasn't for the fact that the hand holding him was growing tighter by the second and the feel of his skin starting to burn from the contact of the Nine Tails chakra. Before he can figure out how to escape Naruto's grasp, Naruto pulls Jiraiya towards him and slugs him right in the face, sending the sage flying into nearby boulders, tossing up a cloud of dirt obscuring Jiraiya. Earth style. Dark swamp. Jiraiya yells, casting a jutsu that causes a deep sticky mud swamp to trap and sink Naruto inside it. While Naruto struggles as he sinks into the swamp, Jiraiya comes walking out of the dust cloud, whipping the blood from his mouth, saying, "Alright Naruto, let's call it a day before someone gets really hurt. I'll release you from my jutsu and you can stop using the Nine Tails power." Instead of a response, all Jiraiya gets is an explosion of mud, chakra, and a massive roar of rage, causing him to go on guard, and for good reason. At the center of the swirling black and red chakra is Naruto, screaming in hellish pain as his skin peels off, mixing his blood with the fox's chakra, until it completely surrounds him in a dome of black energy shooting into the sky, blowing back the nearby trees and causing all manner of animals to flee in the opposite direction as fast as possible. This dense and foul chakra brings a shiver of fear to creep up Jiraiya's spine. It's been a very long time since Jiraiya last felt such a sensation, leaving him very worried, but not for himself, but for Naruto. He needs to reel in the Nine Tails power before it's too late. As the black dome recedes, Jiraiya sees a black miniaturized nine-tailed fox, just with only 4 tails, and pure white eyes looking at him, bringing back that sensation tenfold. Before Jiraiya can even think about what to do next, the black fox just appears out of nowhere, getting completely past his guard, slashes at him with his claws, cutting open his chest, spewing blood all over both him and the fox. The only bright side Jiraiya can take from this development is that the attack sent him flying backwards, away from Naruto, or at least what used to be Naruto. Staggering to his feet, holding the gaping wound across his chest, feeling the blood practically flood through his fingers, he gasps, not out of pain, but shock as two more tails start forming from the fox's rear, making a total of 6. Realizing that he's got no other option, Jiraiya's hands blur through a set of hand signs, slamming his blood-covered hand to the ground, yells out, summoning Jutsu. Quote. Small black symbols spread out form under his hand, causing an explosion, covering the area in white smoke to reveal a massive purple toad with black markings surrounding his eyes connecting to his eyebrows, and running down his chin connecting under his mouth. He's wearing a classic black shinobi top with a huge shield strapped to his back and a Sasumata in his right hand. Jiraiya commands, "Gameiken, hold Naruto off long enough for me to summon them and enter Sage mode. It's the only way I can think of sealing up the fox's power in my current condition." Gameiken replies in a deep voice, "I shall try, for I am ungraceful." Then Jiraiya draws blood down from his eyes and across his cheeks to his ears, slams his hands together and starts gathering chakra, while Gameiken charges the 6-tailed fox Naruto that has just grown a fox skeleton on top of it. Gameiken brings down his Sasumata right on top of Naruto, breaking the ground around them and kicking up a small dust storm. When it clears up, Gameiken is shocked to see the boy-sized fox is simply holding the massive studded weapon with one hand with little effort on its part. Even more shocking, Naruto then lifts the weapon, along with the building-sized toad, and tosses them away like they were a mere pebble. Gameiken is able to correct himself by gracefully flipping in the air. Upon landing, the toad uses the momentum to launch himself forward yet again, but this time he channels a large amount of chakra into his weapon, thus increasing its destructive capabilities. This forces the possessed Naruto to jump out of the way, once again breaking the ground and creating a large crater that kicks up even more dirt, causing Gameiken to lose sight of his target. Naruto capitalizes on this by making a Biju bomb. Small orbs of black and white chakra begin coming together in front of his snout, forming a large black ball. He further condenses this ball down to about the size of an apple, causing the ground around him to buckle under the extreme weight of it, forming a crater from under him. Then he opens his mouth so wide you can see his jaw separating and swallows the concentrated chakra ball whole, expanding his body to its limit before letting it loose in a powerful shot at the landing toad. Being caught flat-footed, Gameiken only has enough time to raise his shield and channel as much chakra into it as he can muster, before the Biju bomb smashes into him. A massive bang rings out as the bomb collides with the chakra-enhanced shield, causing an equally massive shockwave to push out a torrent of air that slams into the nearby forest, bending, snapping, and uprooting all the trees on the perimeter of the clearing. In a split second, all of this destruction is eclipsed by a blinding light and the roar of a deafening explosion. The Biju bomb ignited forward into a beam of pure chakra, consuming shield, toad, and a long path of forest, leaving nearly a mile-wide trench in their place. Off to the side, Gameiken is plowing through acres of trees, having both the fortune and through extreme effort on his part, to be pushed to the side halfway down the beam's path of destruction. Eventually, coming to a stop by smashing into a plateau of rock. Laying on his back covered in burns, cuts, and blood, his shield all but disintegrated and his Sasumata nowhere to be seen, Gameiken groans in pain as Jiraiya appears on the ground by the left side of his head asking, "Are you alright, Gameiken?" The battered toad grunts out, "I'll live, but I'm unable to hold him off any longer, for I am ungraceful." Jiraiya responds in relief, "That's alright, you held him off long enough. I'm ready to enter Sage mode now, you can head back and rest. Thanks for your help." Instead of replying, Gameiken simply disappears in a poof of white smoke. Naruto's mouth is still steaming as he locks his empty white eyes onto Jiraiya, whose hands are glowing brightly with chakra, and lets loose an animalistic roar. The time it takes for the rage-filled monster to bridge the gap between him and Jiraiya is almost instantaneous, throwing an enlarged fist into Jiraiya, caving his entire body into the rock wall behind him. Withdrawing his arm, the fox just sits there roaring in victory, only to be suddenly hit by a high-pressure blast of water slamming him backwards into the ground, leaving a trench in his wake. Out of the dark hole in the rock wall, 3 pairs of yellow eyes with horizontal pupils can be seen moving forward into the light, revealing Jiraiya in an altered state of appearance and a small old toad on each shoulder. Jiraiya's Sage mode gives him a larger, more bulbous wart-covered nose, toad eyes, a white beard going along his jawline to his chin, and a red hue around his eyes. The toad on his right shoulder is an old male with a green complexion, large bushy white eyebrows, a white pointy goatee, a spiky white topknot, and is wearing a gray cape coming up behind him to a point, named Fukasaku. The old female toad named Shima on Jiraiya's left shoulder has a lighter pale green complexion, purple marking around her mouth. The top of her head looks as though she is wearing a purple hair net with hair rollers underneath, and is wearing a high-collar black cape. Fukasaku with worry asks, that their monster wouldn't happen to be da 9 tails Jinchuriki, Jiraiya boy. Jiraiya answers, I'm afraid so boss. Shima yells out, how in tarnation did he turn into that? Jiraiya answers with shame in his voice, I used the seal's key to loosen it, so Naruto could gain more access to the fox's chakra and hopefully learn control it. But it seems in both my haste and overestimation in Naruto's abilities, that lead to 6 of the fox's 9 tails to be released. I was left with the only option to summon the both of you and enter Sage mode to try and suppress him long enough to repair the seal before it's too late. Shima responds, that has got to be the most idiotic thing you've ever done lad. Plus bringing me out here to fix your mess will cause me to gain more wrinkles. Fukasaku chastised, Ma there are bigger concerns right now than you getting a few more wrinkles, like the 9-tailed fox getting loose. Shima snaps back, don't belittle a housewife's battle against wrinkles. They are our mortal enemies and a bane on women's society. Besides don't think I'm not taking this seriously, if ya haven't noticed I'm busy mending da lad's wound with senjutsu so he doesn't bleed to death. Jiraiya placates, alright, that's enough you two, you're both right and I'm the one to blame for both the added wrinkles and the fox's impending release. So I'm very sorry for my mistakes, but can we please stop the fox and save my pupil, hoping the both of them will stop screaming in his ears. Both toads nod their heads and agree to stop bickering, at least for now. Fukasaku adds, I hope you'll remember this next time you try to do something so foolish. We don't want to have to keep cleaning up your messes Jiraiya boy. Shima chimes in, and ya can expect to get an earful from me later lad. Jiraiya responds, yes I understand. Thank you for helping. Before either Sage Toad can utter a word they are hit with the sensation of the fox's increase in chakra. Looking over at him they see him forming another Biju bomb. Knowing he can't let him finish making it, Jiraiya kicks off his sandals and gets on all fours. His hands and feet becoming frog-like, the red markings on his face converging together in a solid mass, looking like upside-down triangles going down both sides of his face, and sharp-pointed teeth. He then disappears in a flash leaving just a dust cloud in his wake. He reappears above the fox with a massive Rasengan in his hand, slamming it down on its head, expanding to the point it engulfs the area in a bright blue light. Jiraiya lands after jumping back, hearing Fukasaku yell out, boy bring da oil, ma da fire, I'll bring da wind. All 3 of them release a torrent of wind, oil, and fire, combining them into a sea of boiling oil, rushing to the crater the fox lays in. As the sage art, sea of boiling oil hits its mark, kicking up a field of steam and filling the air with the noise of sizzling skin, Jiraiya jumps forward with the seal key appearing on his right arm to repair the seal before the fox has time to recover, but is suddenly knocked back by a huge surge of power. Sage mode Jiraiya is eclipsed by a massive shadow as large skinless clawed fox hands smash into ground shaking the entire landscape, revealing a skinless eight-tailed fox the size of a mountain. It roars, sending Jiraiya flying into the rock wall behind him, coughing up blood as he slams into it. He recovers to look up in terror and stutters out, "Oh Kami. It's too late. What I have done." Naruto finds himself in his mindscape by the Nine Tails cage, his jacket and shirt torn open to reveal his torso. He's on his knees holding his head while the swirl pattern of his seal on his stomach is now a solid black and is pouring out into the water. The fox starts speaking in a dark deep voice, "Yes, give in to the rage. Remember all the suffering your own people inflicted upon you. Let loose our power and show them your wrath." At these words Naruto's eyes turn entirely red and he starts walking over to the cage. "Good. Now remove the seal and set me free." The fox yells with a rare moment of glee in his voice and a classic sinister grin plastered across his face. Just as Naruto's hand is touching the slip of paper, with the kanji of seal on it that's holding the cage shut, a hand reaches out and grabs his arm, stopping him. "I wouldn't do that if was you." A calm and unfamiliar voice lets out. Being pushed back away from the seal, Naruto lands on his butt, the red leaving his eyes. He looks up to see a man with azure blue eyes and spiky yellow blonde hair with jaw-length bags framing either side of his face. Wearing a standard Konoha uniform with two bands on both of his sleeves, a green flak jacket, blue forehead protector, blue sandals, and a short-sleeved long white haori closed in the front by a thin orange rope and decorated by red flame-like motifs on the edges, with the kanji for "Fourth Hokage" written vertically down the back. He knows this man. After all, he's looked up at his face for the majority of his short 13 years of life. The man he has long dreamed of surpassing in the hopes of finally being respected by his village, and the man who has caused him the most pain in his life. Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, the man who saved their village by sealing the nine-tailed fox inside him. Said fox roars, "You're being cut off by Naruto," as he stutters out, "You're the fourth Hokage. Aren't you supposed to be dead?" Chuckling, the dead Hokage answers while helping Naruto up, "Yes Naruto, I died the day I sealed the nine tails into you, but I stored some of my chakra and consciousness into the seal to appear in your psyche as a contingency for when the seal unraveled to the point you sprouted the eight tail. Truth be told, I was hoping that it would never get this far, especially this early in your life. I never wanted to see the nine tails again, but then again, I was looking forward to meeting my son as a young man." To this the nine tails roars out, "RRAW. Fourth Hokage. Come here. I'll rip you to shreds." He was so close to being free, yet again the fourth Hokage has to show up and stop it. The Hokage calmly responds, "Not the best invitation, so no thanks." "Right, Naruto." Naruto simply responds, "How do you know my name?" "How? I'm the one who named you. You're my son after all." Minato answers incredulously. With a look of confusion Naruto utters, "Your son? I'm." The nine tails interrupts, "Raar. You heard me, you're my son, Naruto," ignoring the fox. Naruto's face shifts from confusion to joy with a small smile and tears forming in his eyes. Just as Naruto starts laughing, the fox interrupts yet again. "Raar. You, fourth." While pointing behind himself with his left thumb at the fox, Minato says, "Man, he's annoying. How about we continue this conversation somewhere quieter?" He then, with a snap of his fingers, transports them away to a place surrounded by white. "There, that's much better," the fourth Hokage said. As Naruto sobs softly and tries to rub the tears out of his eyes with his left forearm, Minato continues, "Lord Third didn't tell you much of anything, did he? I guess Lord Hiruzen wanted to suppress as much information about the nine tails as possible. If people found out you were my son, you'd have been in danger. I'm so sorry, Naruto." Naruto's response is a fist to his father's stomach and starts yelling with tears streaming down his face, "Why would you ever put the nine tails inside your own son? How could you put me through all of that? I don't know if I'm happy or if I'm mad." While Naruto still sobs softly, his dad asks him with a fatherly face, Naruto, how old are you now? Rubbing tears from his eye, he answers, UNH. UNH. 13. Wow, already 13, huh? It must have been hard for you, Naruto. Forgive me. With a sad look on his face, Minato continues, though I suppose it's little consolation to you for me to put on a fatherly face and apologize now, after putting you through all that. Naruto raises his head sniffing, answers with a pout, it's all right, I'm the fourth's kid, I'll deal. This causes his father to put on a pained smile before answering Naruto's previously asked question, I sealed half of the nine-tailed fox's chakra inside you, because I trusted that you would master this power, because you are my son. There's a reason I went to the trouble, it's based on something I learned 13 years ago, when the nine tails attacked Konoha. Naruto asks, what? Minato answers, there was a mastermind behind the fox, who manipulated him, made him assault the village. Quite a formidable shinobi. Back then he saw right through all of my moves, he's no ordinary shinobi. Someone you need extraordinary strength to stand against and hope to have a chance of defeating. I believe he will attack our village again. Who is this guy? Naruto asks. I don't know who he is, but can you tell that he wore a mask with a hole over his right eye, which contains a Sharingan with time-space jutsu better than mine. I also believe he is the one leading the Akatsuki. Mostly because he told me himself that he would one day regain control of the nine tails right before he fled. So it can't be mere coincidence that a group of S-class Rouge shinobi would be hunting Biju like he is. Minato answered. Naruto with a look of shock and panic yells out, me? How am I supposed to stop someone who even you couldn't beat? I nearly got taken by this guy's lackeys. I'm not talented or smart like you. I couldn't even stop Sasuke from leaving the village. Yeah, I saw from inside your mind. His father adds. You watched. Naruto yells out in surprise. Minato answers, yes, I've seen your entire life, Naruto. And that's why I know you can do anything you put your mind to. You've repeatedly overcame the odds that were against you to achieve your dream. Which, if I remember right, it's to surpass all of the Hokage, including me. But more than any of that, I know you can do it because you're my son and I believe in you. He says that last part while putting his hand on Naruto's head affectionately. Naruto asks, unsure of himself, you do? Do you really think I can? Minato replies without hesitation, well, it is the duty of a parent to unconditionally believe in their child. That brings a large foxy grin to his face. Chuckling a bit, Naruto says, yeah, I guess I can do it, because I'm the son of the fourth Hokage, believe it. This makes Minato laugh out, ha 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 ha, you sound just like your mother. That causes Naruto to realize he can find out who his mother is. Wait, who is my mom? He asks. His dad answers, your mother's name was Kushina Uzumaki, she was a strong-willed redhead, who talked with the same spirit you do. I wish I had more time to tell you about her, but my chakra's fading, so it's time for me to go. If you want to know more about your mother, ask Jiraiya-sensei. I will rebuild the seal for the last time. At this point Minato puts his right hand on Naruto's seal and with a twist of his hand, returns the seal back to normal. Just before he fades out of existence, he tells his son, I want you to know that no matter what anyone says or thinks, both your mother and I will always love you. Jiraiya, along with the toad sages on his shoulders, look up in fear as the nearly freed nine-tailed fox starts forming a Biju bomb that's blocking out the sky above them. Before they can come up with a solution to their current problem, both the bomb and the fox disappear in an explosion of smoke, shrouding the clearing. With extreme caution, Jiraiya approaches the slowly dissolving cloud of smoke to find a passed out and skinless Naruto. Once seeing Naruto in that condition, Jiraiya rushes to check on him. Kneeling down, Jiraiya flips Naruto over onto his back and checks his pulse. Breathing in relief, he finds him to have a strong pulse and somewhat labored breathing, but thankfully alive. Knowing that Naruto's life is no longer in danger, not to mention everyone else in the nearby area, Jiraiya can't help but wonder what suppressed the fox's chakra and repaired the damage to the seal. Voicing Jiraiya's thoughts, Shima says, "What in tarnation happened? How was Da Nine Tails sealed back up?" Fukasaku replies, "Maybe there was some type of failsafe implanted in the sealing formula to save Da Boy's life." Jiraiya adds, "Minato was known for being cautious and planning ahead to counteract any unforeseen events, plus there are still many unknown aspects of the Reaper Death Seal Minato used. Perhaps Naruto will be able to shed some light on what happened once he wakes up. Until then we can only speculate as to what happened, but for now we should focus on getting him treatment for his wounds." Jiraiya grunts in pain as he reaches down to pick up Naruto, causing Shima to state, with worry in her voice, "It's not just Da Boy who needs medical attention, lad, you're in worse shape than he is. If it wasn't for Da fact that nature chakra enhances Da body's regenerative abilities, you'd have already died of blood loss. Ma's right Jiraiya boy, ya need proper medical care and time ta heal, and not just from Da obvious injury running across your chest, but from Da damage caused by your exposure ta that their nine-tailed chakra. It's destroying every cell it comes into contact with, like some sort of poison. We've been having ta split our focus on removing it from your system and maintaining Da balance of your chakra and nature chakra. I don't have to tell ya what can go wrong if that balance fails, Jiraiya boy," chimes in Fukasaku. On that point Jiraiya can wholeheartedly agree. Either nature energy will become too weak and he'll drop out of sage mode, leaving him completely exhausted, which in his current state could prove fatal. Or nature chakra could become too strong, overpowering his own, turning him into a toad statue, making him a permanent part of nature. Shima chastises, "Just be glad that Da fourth Hokage had enough foresight to plan for your stupidity, lad. Otherwise Da very worst could have happened here today, because in your current condition we would never have been able to suppress Da nine-tailed fox in time." With shame and plenty of blame on his part, Jiraiya responds, "You're right, Ma, this was all my fault. Clearly it was far too soon for Naruto to try and tap into the fox's power to such a degree. For now I'll focus on increasing his own strength, so that the day when he has to master the nine tails power he'll be ready." Good ta hear, Jiraiya boy, but I recommend that the boy learns senjutsu before having ta confront that their nine tails, and it'd be a few more years before I'd reckon his body be ready for da strain of senjutsu, replies Fukasaku. "That would be for the best, boss. I'll train him up as best I can, and then when you think he's ready you can summon him to Mount Myoboku to train in senjutsu. Though he'll probably need more combat experience before he's ready, and that's something he can only get in real battle. That's still a long ways off if you ask me," answers Jiraiya, while he picked Naruto off the ground and starts to head to the nearby town to get them both some much-needed medical attention. A few days have passed since the incident with Naruto's seal, finding both Jiraiya and Naruto heavily bandaged in Jiraiya's hospital room. It kind of annoys Jiraiya at how fast Naruto tends to recover. He's already been discharged and is now removing the last of his bandages, revealing perfectly healed skin. To be honest, his skin came back in under a day, but his chakra exhaustion is what kept in the hospital for as long it did. Naruto didn't want to be bothered by the doctors, so he kept the bandages on to shut them up. While Jiraiya on the other hand is still looking at about a week before he'd be discharged. This meant it'd be a week before Naruto could collect on his winnings, but instead of a disgruntled kid we find a Naruto lost in thought. He was thinking about everything he learned from his dad in his mindscape. He wanted to bombard the pervy sage with questions as soon as he woke up, but Jiraiya has been unconscious for the past couple of days, only just now waking up, and Naruto was feeling responsible for his condition. If he had been stronger and not as weak-willed he could have resisted all of that hate and not hurt the pervy sage. Before Naruto can go down that rabbit hole, Jiraiya calls out, "Hey Gaki. What are you thinking about? It's not like you to be lost in thought. To be honest, I thought you never really used that lump you call a brain." While he broke out laughing, Naruto starts pouting and yells back, "Hey, I have a brain. It's just I prefer to use my gut. And for your information, I was thinking about how it was my fault you got hurt. This causes Jiraiya to immediately stop laughing and his face to take on a very serious look as he lectures Naruto. Now you listen to me good when I tell you that the only one at fault is me. I should have never tampered with your seal, especially as much as I did at your age. It's far too soon for you to handle that type of power. I let my ego get the better of me, and we both paid the price for it. So I don't want to hear any more of this it's my fault talk, understand? If anything, I should be apologizing to you. Somberly, Naruto nods his head and replies, okay, but you're not entirely at fault, because I do need to master the fox's power, even my father said so. With a sudden look of shock, Jiraiya quickly asks, what do you mean your father told you? While we're at it, how about you tell me everything about how you were able to suppress the 9 tails? The next few minutes were spent with Naruto telling Jiraiya about everything that transpired in his mindscape, only stopping to clarify a few things for the pervy sage. Jiraiya was quiet, lost in contemplation over everything he was just told, before finally voicing his thoughts, so it wasn't just an automated failsafe, but Minato himself, and on top of that he tells you that the 9 tails attack on Konoha was orchestrated by a masked shinobi with Sharingan and time-space jutsu better than his own. And on top of that, this masked shinobi plans on finishing the job by retaking control of the 9 tails. Not to mention he suspects that the same man is the one leading the Akatsuki, who are planning to go after the Biju. Damn, this complicates things. I'm going to have to send a report of this to Tsunade, and I should try to send warnings to all the villages in procession of Biju to keep an eye out for the Akatsuki. For they'll be after their Jinchuriki. Letting out a sigh at all the extra work he's going to have to do, Jiraiya is interrupted by Naruto asking, what's a Biju and Jinchuriki? A confused look plastered on his face. Jiraiya can only face palm and groan out, a Biju are tailed beasts, like the 9-tailed fox, and Jinchuriki are people the Biju are sealed inside of. It's a practice that came along as a means to weaponize the Biju's massive power, after the first Hokage gave them to rivaling villages to maintain a power balance among the nations. A moment of realization hits Naruto, he's a Jinchuriki and there are others like him out there. A million questions race across his mind, from wondering how many there are and if they had the same upbringing as him, to how could people willing turn others into weapons against their will and hate them for it. Seeing the thoughts swirling around in Naruto's head, Jiraiya starts answering his unasked questions. There are 9 Biju in total, ranging from the 1 tail to the 9 tails, their power is represented by the number of tails they have. Meaning that there's never more than 9 Jinchuriki at any one time, and they tend to be treated the same in every village. After all, you met and fought the 1-tailed Jinchuriki from Suna, Gaara. So you know how unstable they can be. Though that's mostly from how horrible their childhoods are. Wait, Gaara's a Jinchuriki like me? Naruto yells out. Yes, he is, Gaki, so that makes him a target of the Akatsuki too, but don't worry, I'm already planning on warning Suna. Which should be the easiest of the villages to warn. Jiraiya answers. Now does that answer all of your questions? Yeah, about Jinchuriki and Biju anyways. Naruto replied, but what are we going to do about me mastering the 9 tails power? My dad said I'm going to need that power to beat that masked guy. Jiraiya in a reassuring tone answers, don't worry, I only said you weren't ready yet, not that you'll never master it, but we need to get you ready before we try again. That's going to include teaching you as many jutsu as you can handle, upping all of your basics even more, and sparring without the kid gloves. Naruto almost jumped for joy at the jutsu part, didn't like the whole basic stuff again, but couldn't help but ask a question about the sparring, what do you mean kid gloves? To this Jiraiya's face breaks out into a shit-eating grin and answers, what? You thought I was fighting you seriously? Come on Gaki. At best I was fighting you at high Chunin level. I'm considered to be a cage level shinobi, if I sparred with you at full power you'd be left as a pile of bruises and broken bones. Naruto would like to argue that fact, but he remembered the battle Pervy Sage had with Orochimaru and that had been with both of them in a weakened state. That was a battle he couldn't even keep track of, so he relented. Jiraiya continues with explaining his plans. We'll start by finding out what your elemental affinity is, so we can focus on jutsu that'll be easier for you to learn. Normally it would take years of training to master even one affinity, but with the shadow clone method we'll be able to knock that out in a few weeks or months. That sounds totally awesome. It'll be like learning the fireball jutsu and the Chidori, right? Naruto yells out excitedly. Well, only if you have either fire or lightning affinities, but you could still learn weaker jutsus of affinities you don't have, but it will take longer and be harder to learn, so we'll only focus on the affinity you have. Actually, if you can hand me my scroll, I'll be able to tell you which ones you have. Once hearing this, Naruto practically ran over, grabbed the scroll and tossed it to him. After Jiraiya opens his scroll and unseals a piece of paper, he hands it to Naruto and tells him to channel his chakra into it. What's a stupid piece of paper have to do with figuring out what affinity I have? Naruto impatiently asks. A frustrated Jiraiya answers, it's called litmus paper, and it has a unique quality that reacts to a person's chakra that tells you what your affinity is. If it's fire it will burn, if it's wind it will split in two, if it's lightning it will crumple, if it's earth it will crumble, and if it's water it will get wet. Now just channel your chakra into and find out. Doing just that, Naruto waits on bated breath as the paper splits in two. It appears you have an affinity for wind chakra. That's a very rare one to have, and I only know a few jutsus for that one, but the bright side is that it's unrivaled in battle power, able to cut, tear, and sever anything in its path, Jiraiya explained. I knew it. I knew I was unstoppable. Naruto shouts out. Whoa, Gaki. Hold your horses, we've only just figured this out. You must first be trained, so you can properly use and control your nature. We'll first have to practice to make your chakra's change of nature stronger. You will be doing this with as many clones as you can while I'm still hospitalized, by holding a leaf between your palms and using just your chakra to tear it completely in two. Jiraiya informs him. Naruto replies, no problem. I'll have it down in no time. Believe it, and starts to run out the door, only to stop and turn around to face Pervy Sage and says, hey, I almost forgot, but my dad said to ask you about my mom, Kushina Uzumaki. Jiraiya freezes for a second, wondering how much of the truth he should tell him about his mother and his clan, but decides that he already knows about his father, so why not, and tells him, alright, but sit down, this going to take a while. Naruto eagerly sits down in a chair by Jiraiya's bed, waiting to hear everything about his mother. Okay, where to start? I guess I can start with how she was the previous Jinchuriki of the 9 tails before you. My mom was the 9 tails Jinchuriki. Naruto interrupts, yelling at the top of his lungs. Keep it down, Gaki, or I'll not tell you about her. Jiraiya shouts back. Naruto quickly quiets down and nods his head. Alright, good, and yes, she was selected as the second Jinchuriki host of the 9 tails. Brought to Konoha all the way from the land of eddies. Naruto interrupts again, but much quieter. Why? She was a stranger from another nation. Why make her a Jinchuriki? Jiraiya answers, yes, she was from a different hidden village, another nation, but back then, the land of fire and the land of eddies had a very close relationship. The shinobi of Konoha's Senju clan and Uzushio's Uzumaki clan were distant blood relatives. Full of shinobi brimming with vitality, Uzushio village was known as the village of longevity. The clan members excelled at sealing jutsu, but they were also a bit savage. The tetragram seal on your stomach was based on a jutsu originally developed by her village. She taught it to Minato, your father, along with other sealing jutsu. Naruto, that symbol on the back of your jacket is the crest of Uzushiogakure village. It symbolizes to this day the camaraderie between Konoha and Uzushio, even though Uzushio no longer exists as a nation now. During the era of war and unrest, their sealing jutsu abilities were greatly feared, so they were targeted and eradicated. Survivors fled and hid themselves throughout the lands. Yet again Naruto interrupts, but, why her? Why my mom? No longer caring that he keeps interrupting, it's to be expected, answers, she was born with a particularly powerful chakra. Strong even for one from her village, strong enough to suppress the nine tails. In fact, the first nine tails Jinchuriki was also an Uzushio Kunoichi, which made it tradition. Her name was Mito Uzumaki, and she was the wife of the first Hokage. Do you know about the battle between the first Hokage Lord Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara? Naruto replies yeah, and Jiraiya continues, it was during that battle that in order to lend strength to Lord Hashirama, who obtained the nine tails, Lady Mito sealed the nine tails inside herself using sealing jutsu, thus becoming the nine tails Jinchuriki. Ever since, Konoha has possessed the nine tails, and when Lady Mito approached the end of her life, your mother was brought in to become the nine tails' next vessel. Not surprisingly, Naruto yells out, they weren't even treating her like a person. Jiraiya replies, I don't know all of the details because everything was top secret. I only know what I do because your mother told your father, who told me. What I do know is that even though your mother was a Jinchuriki, she appeared to be happy with friends and a growing family. This brought a smile to Naruto's face, not just because his mother was able to find happiness as a Jinchuriki, but because it made him feel closer to her. He then asked, if my mother was the nine tails Jinchuriki, then how do I now contain him? I wasn't in the village at the time, but from what I've been told and what you recently revealed to me, I can take an educated guess. You see, what most people don't know, and I'm guessing the masked man somehow found out about, is that the seal on a woman Jinchuriki weakens during the approximate 10 months she is pregnant. This is because the chakra that normally goes to the seal is diverted to the growing fetus in her womb. We only know this because the nine tails nearly escaped when Lady Mito went into labor for the first time. I figure that when your mother went into labor 13 years ago, the masked man must have used this opportunity to free the nine tails and bring him under his control, forcing your father to seal the nine tails into you. That's my best guess anyway. Jiraiya answered. Naruto responds after thinking for a few minutes, okay, then what can you tell me about my mother as a kunoichi? What kind of jutsus did my mom know and how did she fight? Pondering the question for a moment, Jiraiya answers, well, like most Uzumaki, Kushina was a master at the sealing arts, but what made your mother stick out was her ability to create chakra chains so powerful that they could suppress even the nine tails. She was also highly skilled in kenjutsu, she was one of Konoha's best to be exact. One of things she would often complain about was missing out on the chance to clash with one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist during the last war, to test her kenjutsu skills against the best shinobi swordsman of the world. Naruto responds to this with awe in his voice, wow. I can't believe my mom would have wanted to tangle with one the 7 swordsmen of the mist, I know I don't want to have go against one again. She must have been completely fearless. Laughing a little bit, Jiraiya says, I wouldn't count that time where I saved your butt from Kisame Hoshigaki. You didn't really get the chance to fight him after all. Huh, that fish guy with Sasuke's brother was one of the 7 swordsmen. A confused Naruto asked. Yeah, who else would I be talking about, Gaki? Jiraiya, the one confused this time, asked. Oh, I was thinking about my team's first C-rank mission to protect a bridge builder, but it turned out he lied about the kind of people that were trying to kill him, and we ended up fighting against Zabuza, the demon of the mist. Naruto answered. A very shocked Jiraiya demanded that Naruto tell him the story from the very beginning to the very end. After all, it wasn't every day a team of freshly graduated genin defeat the likes of Zabuza, Jonin sensei or not. After about a half hour of hyperactive storytelling from Naruto, Jiraiya just sits there with his jaw wide open for few minutes, before practically yelling, you seriously left the Kubikiribocho, a legendary weapon revered as a national treasure in Kurigakure, and is probably worth hundreds of millions on the black market, as a grave marker for Zabuza in Nami. I mean, I can expect that kind of idiocy from you, but not from Kakashi. I wouldn't be surprised if someone has already stolen it. Alright, the first thing we're doing once I get out of here, is to head to Nami and retrieve the Kubikiribocho, if it's still there that is. Naruto quickly jumps up and yells back, "Hey! Don't yell at me. How was I supposed to know that sword was that important? And what do you mean we're going to Nami? You're supposed to train me, not run off trying to strike it rich pervy sage." Jiraiya in the blink of an eye, grabs Naruto by scruff of his jacket and pulls him up to his face and calmly says, with a deadly serious tone, "I'm not looking to strike it rich, Naruto, that blade is a very powerful weapon that any shinobi would give their left arm to have. Plus, I'm not stupid and you're very predictable, you're going to want to learn as many jutsus and techniques that your parents knew, so as to be closer to them. If that's really the case then you can't do any better than one of the swords of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist. As for the training you part, I can do that on the way and we can even train for a bit in Nami. Remember I'm your sensei and even if you don't understand my methods, you can be damn sure that what I'm doing for you is for your own good." Got that, Naruto? All Naruto could do was nod his head, for the pervy sage was right on all accounts. He wanted to learn sealing jutsu and kenjutsu like his mom, and the Hiraishin his father was famous for. Even if sounded stupid or seems impossible, he wants to use these jutsu to feel closer to the parents he never got have. Glad to see that Naruto understands, Jiraiya gently puts him back down and says, "Now go get to work on the leaf exercise, I want you to have it split in 2 by time we head out." As Naruto runs out to meet the pervy sage's challenge, Jiraiya thinks about how hard these next 2 years and 3 months are going to be for the both of them, and can only groan out at how much research he'll be missing out on. Yet that can't keep the grin off his face as he looks out his window to see about 1,000 Naruto clones holding leaves in their palms. Week had passed since Jiraiya had been discharged from the hospital. Jiraiya and Naruto are standing in front of the great Naruto bridge leading into Nami, looking up at the sign. That causes a single thought to enter Jiraiya's head, oh great. The Gaki already has an ego the size of the Hokage's monument, now it's just going to explode up to an unbelievable level. During Jiraiya's internal plight, Naruto is just standing there slack-jawed, unable to process the awesomeness of having a bridge that saved a nation named after him. That didn't last long, for Naruto shouted out in glee, "See pervy sage, I told you I'm a badass shinobi and this proves it. Hey Gaki, don't let this go to your head. There are countless shinobi that have accomplished outstanding and world-changing events that still found themselves in an early grave. Hell, just about every Hokage, except the third, died fairly young, your father being the youngest. So don't you dare get up on some high horse when you haven't even reached the greatness of the Hokage, otherwise I might as well dig your grave right now." Jiraiya chastised. This causes Naruto to deflate fast and mutter out, "I'm sorry pervy sage. It's just that almost nobody thinks that I'll ever amount to anything, and to have the entire nation of Nami practically shout out otherwise, filled me up with so much joy that I couldn't contain myself." Jiraiya responds, "Look kid, I wasn't trying to make you feel bad, you just need to realize that a swelled head has killed more shinobi than any jutsu. I don't want you to be the next victim of pride, it's called a deadly sin for a reason." Naruto replies, "Alright pervy sage I won't forget, but once I become the greatest Hokage ever, I will have you write a book about me and it'll outsell everything you've ever written." Believe it. Even though he was still being boisterous, he knew that everything pervy sage said was true. His father was an unbridled genius who became the youngest Hokage in a flash, was feared throughout the shinobi world, and yet he still died young. Not to mention all of the overly confident assholes he has given a beating to in his years as a shinobi, like Neji, but he has mellowed out recently. He could make a long list of people like that, but that was boring and he had better things to do. Jiraiya could just smirk as he replied, "Sure, if you actually accomplish your dream I'll write a book about you, but I'll tell you now, your life's story won't be able to surpass my masterpieces, Make Out Paradise, Make Out Violence, and Make Out Innocence. Even my work in progress, make-out tactics will outsell your story. Trust me, people want stories with passionate romance and hot more than a good action story. Naruto snaps back, my life is already a way better story than those boring perverted book you write. Only perverts like yourself and Kakashi-sensei like that crap. Oh really? If that was the truth, then there is no way my bank account should be as high as it is. This may come as a shock to you, but my perverted books, as you put it, are among the highest selling books out in publication right now. So unless you become a lot less dense about women, then there is no way in hell your life story will even hold a candle to my makeout series Gaki. Jiraiya laughs back. With a blush, Naruto says, hey, I'm not dense about girls, don't you remember my jutsu? And I do have a crush on Sakura-chan. Jiraiya turns to face Naruto while he simply replies, first of all, an understanding of the female form is not the same as understanding women. Secondly, with this Sakura girl, you're only proving my point. If you had even the slightest of understanding of women, you'd know that girl has no romantic interest in you whatsoever. Hell, with the way she begged you to bring back Sasuke should have been a big hint at who she loves. With fire in his voice, Naruto says, yeah, I know she loves Sasuke, but that doesn't mean she can't become interested in me. All I have to do is keep trying, she'll eventually accept my feelings for her. I don't give up. That's my Nindo. Believe it. Realizing that he needs to nip this in the bud and fast, Jiraiya, with a serious look and tone of voice says, Naruto, I need you to pay attention to me because what I'm about to say may be harsh, but it's the cold hard truth. There is nothing wrong with persistence, but eventually you have to accept when someone doesn't feel the same way about you as you do them. Trust me, nothing good will come out of a one-sided obsession. At best, it will lead you down a life of loneliness, where you'll be envious of the happiness of others, never experiencing it for yourself. At the worst, you can end up driving her away completely, where she will go out of her way to avoid you, cutting off all ties with you. No more being on the same team, no more friendship, nothing. Do you really want to lose her as friend and teammate? Naruto had never even considered that she could get so fed up with him that she'd stop being his friend. He loves her, but he'd rather let her go and keep her as a friend, than hold on so tight that she'd stop being in his life. Sadly he replies, tearing up, no, I don't want to lose Sakura, but I don't know how I'm supposed to stop loving her that way. Jiraiya answers with understanding and compassion, I'm afraid that you may never stop loving her in that way, but you can let her go and be happy that she's happy. To do this you'll have to try finding someone else who returns your feelings, and trust me when I tell you, you'll feel much more love than you've ever felt before. In the moment where your feelings are returned, will you truly understand what love is? Sniffling a little bit, Naruto asks, why are you telling me this? Because you need to hear it and I don't want you to end up like me. I spent so much time chasing after Tsunade, that my entire life passed me by. Sure, I'm a famous shinobi and author, but I missed out on having a family of my own. Who knows how many opportunities I missed out on by not being able to move on from her, even though she rejected me repeatedly, usually with a fist to the chin. The point I'm trying to get across to you is that you shouldn't be so blinded by what's right in front of you, that you miss out on what is waiting right around the corner. Jiraiya answered, with the hope that at least Naruto would give it some thought. I don't know if I can, but I'll try, pervy sage. Just, let's not talk about this anymore, please. Naruto choked out. He wasn't expecting for things to get so real all of a sudden. It's just too much for him to think about right now, maybe he'll figure it out later. Jiraiya simply nods his head and turns back around to continue crossing the bridge, knowing Naruto needs time to process what he said. After all, one doesn't get over someone with the snap of their fingers, it takes time and a whole lot of self-examination, and even then there is no guarantee you will. Walking a few paces behind Jiraiya, Naruto is lost in thought, eyes squinted shut and chin in his hand. In an attempt to avoid thinking about his love life, or lack of one, he's thinking about the training he has been doing since Jiraiya was hospitalized up to now. The first 3 days of trying to split a leaf with just his chakra had been progressing slowly. Some of his clone could barely rip the leaf, while others would be over halfway through it. Then there was the annoying way people would watch him, like they never saw a bunch of clones hunched over and grunting before. Okay, that was probably true, but it still made him nervous. So he ended up having to find somewhere else to train, and it had nothing to do with nurses repeatedly asking if he had constipation. Anyways, fed up with not getting it, Naruto ran back to Pervy Sage to ask if he knew a trick to getting the feel for wind chakra. Seeing as Jiraiya didn't have an affinity for wind chakra, he couldn't help, but he did tell him that Asuma Sarutobi was the only one he knew that had it. Showing Naruto how to use messenger toads, he was able to get some advice from Asuma Sensei about how he needed to split his chakra and grind them against each other, like sharpening a blade. But that didn't come free. He was going to have to treat Asuma's team to a meal once he got back to the village. It didn't seem like a big deal to him, so naturally he agreed. He even added in, treating them to 1 meal for each wind jutsu scroll he could give him. That's how Naruto now had a scroll on how to channel wind chakra into weapons and release it to slash his enemies. A scroll on the wind style. Gale Wolf, it gathers wind into the shape of a wolf that tackles into a target, causing a condensed explosion of wind, cutting and tearing anything to pieces. Last, but not least, is the scroll on wind release. Wind Dragon, it releases a dragon made of wind that plows through anything in its path, slicing them up with wind blades. They were jutsu that he wouldn't be able to even attempt until he mastered using wind chakra, but he'd get there, and it only cost him treating Team Asuma to 4 meals, no biggie. It only just now came to his realization that feeding Choji was a part of the deal he already made. This causes Naruto to fall to his knees with anime tears pouring down his face and scream up into the sky while holding his toad-shaped wallet in his hands. Oh great Kami, what I have done. Forgive me, Gama-chan. He was going to be eaten into bankruptcy. Hearing Naruto screaming causes Jiraiya to turn around with a confused look on his face and ask, "What in the world are you crying about, Gaki?" Standing up now, but with anime tears still pouring down his face, he answers, "I promise to treat Team Asuma to 4 meals when we get back to the village." Team Asuma, oh that's your generation's Ino Shika Cho trio. That causes Jiraiya to burst out into laughter. Ha 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 ha, you're so screwed, Gaki. The Akamichi appetite is legendary. You'll be lucky to keep the clothes on your back. Why in the hell did you promise that? Naruto bashfully answers, I did it for some advice on using wind chakra and 3 scrolls on wind jutsu. Jiraiya laughs back, Asuma played you big time. But look at it this way, at least you learned a lesson on making deals, and that's if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. While Jiraiya continues on his way across the bridge, laughing loudly the whole way, Naruto just pouts, falling in behind him. Eventually Jiraiya's laughter dies down, allowing Naruto to return to his thoughts about his training. After getting what he thought was a good deal, Naruto was able to complete the leaf-splitting exercise by the 4th day. He went back to Pervy Sage for the next exercise to only be told to go back and try to split a tree with his wind chakra in a single burst. Normally he would have been told to split a waterfall, but there weren't any nearby. The pervert said it had to do with increasing the strength of his wind chakra's release, now that he got a feel for using it. So for the remaining 3 days of waiting for the Pervy Sage to be released from the hospital, he and more than 1,000 clones could be found in the nearby forest trying to cut down trees with just his chakra. He was just glad those trees weren't even half the size of the ones in Konoha. That would have taken him months even with clones to cut through one. By the time they left for Nami, one would find thousands upon thousands of trees cut in varying degrees of slash marks on them, but not a single cut down tree. That didn't mean he was done trying. All along the way he'd send 1,000 clone to find trees and continue, while he'd occasionally spar with Pervy Sage. When Jiraiya said no more kid gloves, he meant it. Naruto was sometimes beaten so bad that Jiraiya would have to carry his unconscious carcass for the rest of the day and he wouldn't wake until the next afternoon. 7 days of that while traveling nearly killed him, but at end of it, just before arriving at the Great Naruto Bridge, he was able to split a tree in a single burst of wind chakra, meaning he could start on learning wind jutsu. He was just starting to practice channeling wind chakra into his kunai, along with 1,000 clones of course, but Jiraiya made him stop as soon as the bridge became visible, saying it would upset the locals and that he could continue once they retrieved the Kubikiribocho. Once they made it across the bridge, Naruto is taken back at how good Nami looks compared to how it used to look. The difference is like night and day. Where there used to be rundown buildings and homeless people crowding the streets, there is now a bustling shopping district filled with patrons and happy children running around. Naruto is interrupted by his stupor by Jiraiya saying, "Alright Gaki, you can take in the sights later. Hurry up and take me to Zabua's grave, so we can get his sword and start your training in Kenjutsu." Geez pervy sage, I haven't been here in like 2 years and a lot has changed in that time, let me get my bearings, a perturbed Naruto replied. With a deadpan face Jiraiya asks, "Don't tell me you forgot where you buried their bodies." No, I just can't exactly remember where it is at the moment, give me a minute pervy sage. A dumbfounded Naruto answers lamely. That answer leads to Jiraiya to gain a few tick marks on his forehead, while he menacingly advances forward, cracking his knuckles, overshadowing him. "Here let me help jog your memory," Jiraiya heatedly stated. After a few knocks to his head and several pain-filled screams later, Naruto was able to remember in keen detail where Zabuza and Haku are buried. Unfortunately, the Kubikiribocho was already gone without a trace, leaving Naruto sweating bullets as Jiraiya had a look that could kill, but not the fast drop-dead kind, no, the slowly torment you to death kind. Fortunately for Naruto, Jiraiya was a level-headed person, well whenever it didn't involve beautiful women that is, and was already heading back to town to dig up whatever information they could about Zabuza's blade. As it turned out, there was a rumor saying that the one who knows the location of Zabuza's blade is Tazuna. With that in mind, Naruto leads Pervy Sage to Tazuna's house by leaping through the trees at full speed. Dusk was approaching and they needed to hurry if they wanted to get there before nightfall, plus he's rather excited to see the old drunker and his family again after all this time. On the way there Naruto spots 2 trees with slash marks going all the way up them. He can't help but remember the heated struggle he went through to catch up to Sasuke in the tree climbing exercise. Just like then, Naruto finds himself struggling to catch up with Sasuke, but also like then, he'll catch up. Then he'll bring him home. He's brought out of his thoughts when he sees Tazuna showing Inari how to properly cut a piece of lumber to size. Landing a few feet in front of them, Naruto yells out, "Hey old man, Inari, how are you guys doing?" Looking up at the ever-familiar loud mouth, to see Naruto approaching them with a huge grin on his face, Tazuna, with a grin appearing on his face, replies, "If it isn't my favorite pipsqueak. It's good to see you." Tazuna is a gray-haired, bespectacled man with a large beard and dark eyes, wearing a sleeveless V-neck shirt with an obi, pants, a pair of sandals, and is carrying a towel around his neck. Inari's face breaks out into equally large grin before yelling out at the same time as his grandfather, "Hey Naruto. What's up?" He's a kid with spiky black hair and dark-colored eyes, and apparently he's taken up wearing the same clothes as Tazuna. Naruto scowls at the pipsqueak remark. He's still a little sensitive about his height, before yelling back, "Yeah, it's good to see you too, you old drunk." Inari, man, what have you grown a foot? And now dressing like your gramps. I think I'm offended to not seeing you wear at least a little of my hero orange. This time it's Tazuna's turn to scowl. He doesn't drink as much as he used to. Things are much better now and work is pouring in faster than he can handle. While Tazuna scowls, Inari answers, "Yup. I'm going to be taller than you at this rate. And for your information I have a custom-made orange towel I'll be wearing when I start working jobs with Gramps. Believe it." That reaction brings a smile to Naruto's face, while both Jiraiya and Tazuna just stand there with deadpan faces, hoping Inari will outgrow that habit. Snapping out of his stupor, Tazuna asks, "Hey brat. Who's the big guy? Did something happen to your sensei and where's the rest of your team?" That gets Naruto to stop his conversation with Inari, to answer, "Huh. Oh, no. Kakashi-sensei is fine and Sakura-chan is training back at the village with Tsunade Bachan. This is Pervy Sage, he's training me for the next, 2 years and 2 months." Naruto replied. Jiraiya shouts out, "Hey Gaki. I have name. It's Jiraiya the Gallant, the Toad Sage of Mount Myoboku, and one of a super pervert who calls peeking on women in the bath research, so in short, Pervy Sage." Naruto interrupts, causing said pervert to just sag with a rain cloud over his head. "What about Sasuke? What's he doing?" Inari asked, completely ignoring Jiraiya. "Oh, you see, we kind of got into a fight, but don't worry. We'll resolve our problems when I'm done training." Naruto shakily answered. Inari, wanting clarification, asks, "What did you guys fight about? Was it over Sakura?" The last part being said playfully. Naruto becomes a bit saddened, while looking down at the ground, unable to look anyone in the eye. He thinks just not of Sasuke's defection, but his failed attempts with Sakura that Jiraiya poked at earlier. Seeing Naruto's downtrodden look, Tazuna says, "Alright Inari, that's enough of that. Whatever happened is between them and is none of our business. Come on Naruto and pervert, let's go inside and talk about what brings you here." Inari just took the hint and silently followed his grandfather back to their house, with Naruto doing the same. Only Jiraiya was dragging his heels, slightly muttering to himself how no one shows him any respect. After heading inside, they are greeted by Tazuna's daughter, a long blue-haired beauty wearing a short-sleeved pink shirt with the end of the sleeves and collar being red, and a long blue skirt, named Tsunami, who invites Naruto and Jiraiya to join them for their meal. Natural, they both agree, but for different reasons. Naruto is simply hungry and is looking forward to a home-cooked meal, while Jiraiya is more interested in perving out on Tsunami and getting the location on the Kubikiribocho. Sitting around a table in their dining area, that's in complete view of a modest kitchen, Jiraiya, Naruto and Tazuna get down to business, while Tsunami has Inari help her bring the food to the table. "Alright, we were told that you would know the location of Zabuza's sword, mind filling us in? Or was that all just a rumor and we're wasting our time here?" asked Jiraiya. Tazuna's face showing a sudden look of realization answers, "No, it's not just a rumor. I know exactly where his sword's at, or more exactly to say who has it. To be honest, I was contemplating whether or not to hire your team to take care of the issue, but I've been very busy lately doing jobs all over the elemental nations. Then again, it's my fault that piece of scum got his hands on Zabuza's sword in the first place." With a shocked expression, Naruto asks, "How is it your fault someone stole it? Did you try selling it for more booze?" Jumping up and yelling in Naruto's face, Tazuna says, "No you little brat. I didn't try selling it for booze you imbecile. I might like the occasional drunk more often than not, but I'm not about to desecrate the grave of the man who killed that little shit Gato just to buy a drink." A bashful Naruto says, "Sorry, I didn't mean to insult you. I just don't know how it's your fault." Then jumping up himself adds, "Hey. Don't call me stupid you old fart," only then just realizing what imbecile means. With sparks shooting from their eyes and colliding, looking like a fight was imminent, only to be stopped by Tsunami with a look that only women have, saying keep it up and you'll live to regret it. They both sat back down with a shiver running through them at the image of unspeakable horrors being inflicted upon them, but still glaring at each other. The conversation was put on hold while food was passed around and everyone had their share, talking lightly about everyday things and a few exaggerated stories. Tsunami would not allow any arguments to disturb the meal she made, and not a man there would do otherwise. Thus it was after she cleared the table and sent Inari to wash up and head to bed, that they could get back to the issue of Zabua's stolen blade. This time Jiraiya, wanting to do all of the talking, asks, "Now, how exactly is it your fault that Zabuza's sword was stolen?" Tazuna answers with shame, "It's all because of a big job I got around here and there was no way I'd pass up a job that paid good and was local. This job was for a man named Tenzen. He wanted a castle built to look traditional but with modern comforts like plumbing, electricity, AC and heating. It was a big job offering a lot work to a lot of people, and with a still recovering economy, I wasn't in any position to say no." Taking a moment shake his head in shame, he continues, "For the most part everything seemed on the up and up, he paid for all the materials and half the labor costs before we even started, that's why I got chummy with the guy." Eventually the story of Gato's rise to power, our pain and suffering that followed, to how he was finally killed, came up. When I told him how Zabuza died killing Gato, he quickly asked where he was buried and what happened to his sword. I was little drunk at the time and I didn't see any harm in it, so I told him. Tazuna tightens his hands as a grim expression crosses his face. It wasn't until after we finished building his castle that Tenzen changed, or more accurately showed his true colors. Swarms of his thugs came and inhabited the area. He had them steal Zabuza's sword and give it to his bodyguard. He's even claiming to be the one who killed Zabuza, using the sword as proof. Ever since, they've been shaking down small businesses, running illegal gambling halls, and even started selling drugs. We ended up helping a crime boss get his hooks in our country." Tazuna was yelling out in anger at himself by this point. Hey, you can't blame yourself for some scum coming along and taking advantage of all of you in a vulnerable moment. Tenzen is the only one to blame, so stop attacking yourself. Jiraiya sternly said, trying to get him relax. Taking a calming breath, Tazuna replies, "You're right, but still, after Gato I should have seen this coming. Don't be so hard on yourself, old man, besides we're here and I'll personally kick this Tenzen guy's straight out Nami." "Believe it," Naruto shouted out while slamming his fist on his puffed out chest. "Thank you, Naruto. I just wished we didn't need you to fix our mistakes," Tazuna says with a small smile and tired eyes. Tenzen has kept him worried for a while now, but his crimes are small at the moment and are only affecting a few small towns, so getting the majority of the people to take action is difficult, not to mention Tenzen bribes local officials to turn a blind eye. In a few years he could end up being as bad as Gato, and that's the last thing he wants to happen, so he'll rely on Naruto again to save them. "It's no problem, like the Gaki said, we'll take care of it. Besides we'll have to take care of this Tenzen guy to get back the Kubikiribocho, so just consider our helping you as a coincidence," Jiraiya stated, then asks, "Can you show us on a map exactly where his castle is and perhaps its layout?" "Yes, of course, it's the least I can do. I'll be back with a map and the castle's blueprints," answered Tazuna. It's about mid-afternoon when Naruto is watching hundreds of Tenzen's men riding in on horseback. The night before, after going over the blueprints to make sure there are no secret passageways out of the building and going over the surrounding terrain in case of having to chase down anyone fleeing, Jiraiya went to the castle to frighten Tenzen into calling in all of his men from all over Nami to protect him from Naruto's impending invasion. They agreed to do this so that they can round up his entire crew in one shot. Now Naruto is waiting as the last of his men to make it inside the castle's gates. He'll be going in alone as a way to gauge his progress and give him some more combat experience. To make it harder on him, Jiraiya forbid the use of lethal force, even though Naruto was never planning on killing anyone in the first place, because sometimes he'll be sent on missions that involve capturing your prey alive. Also, he's not allowed to use any of his jutsu. Jiraiya said that relying on jutsu to win a fight is dangerous, for there will be times when you'll not be able to use jutsu, so you'll need to be able to fight and win without them. In short, this is a test of his taijutsu, skills with his ninja tools, and his ability to improvise. Seeing the last horse cross through the gate before it slams shut, locking in place, Naruto begins his assault on the enemy's fortified position. The plan is simple enough. He rigs explosion tags at the gate and rear wall of the castle grounds to split their forces. Then he'll start tearing into their numbers by climbing over one of the undamaged walls, completely unnoticed by the guards, who will be too busy trying to put out fires and planning to counter a fictional pincer maneuver, picking them off one by one with improvised traps. That'll only last for so long before they notice that the explosions were just misdirection and that they're already under attack. When that happens, he'll switch to using kunai and shuriken to disarm, immobilize them, finishing them off with nothing more than his taijutsu. All of that happened in almost a blur, because Naruto took off his leg weights before arriving, making him far too fast for those second-rate thugs to even see. Things would have been very different if there had been even one shinobi amongst them, but Tenzen didn't spring for any idiot. Disappearing and reappearing, Naruto took them all out one by one, not even getting a scratch in the process. After all, compared to his spars with pervy Sage, they might have well been standing still. Throughout the compound, screams of pain and fear can be heard, followed by an orange blur moving about with no resistance, dropping smoke bombs everywhere, removing all visibility that actually causes some of them to take out each other. By the time the smoke cleared, it had become silent and all of Tenzen's men could be found spread out in various states of unconsciousness, battered black and blue, riddled with kunai or shuriken, tied upside down hanging from trees in the castle, all alive but in a lot of pain. Standing in the middle of the carnage is Naruto, completely unharmed, not even breathing hard. To be honest, he could have beaten this lot back before the Chunin exams. He's currently looking up at the top of the castle with fierce eyes, where Tenzen is hiding out. With a smirk, Naruto kicks in the castle's doors and runs through the building, dispatching the few guards Tenzen had left on the way to the top. Going up the final flight of stairs, Naruto enters a large room with Tenzen, who's shaking in fear and standing in the center of the room. As Naruto approaches him, a large broadsword, as tall as a full-grown man, shaped like a butcher knife with two cutouts, a circle close to the top and a semicircular one nearer to the extremely long handle, comes slamming down on Naruto. Naruto barely dodges in time, jumping to the side, causing the Kubikiribocho to become embedded in the floor, leaving the large bodyguard wide open. Naruto goes in with a jumping uppercut, launching the bodyguard into the air and releasing his grip on the blade. He then jumps up above the flying guard, and goes into a spinning heel axe kick, connecting with the guard's head, slamming his face into the ground and knocking him out. Turning around to face the quivering Tenzen, Naruto grabs the handle of the Kubikiriboko with one arm and lifts up, only to be unable to remove it from the floor. It weighs more than pervy Sage. Adjusting his grip with both arms this time, he lifts the blade up and on his right shoulder, only to begin to fall backwards, but he was prepared for that and quickly shifted his body weight forward to counterbalance the blade's weight, grunting softly. Tenzen can't believe what's happened. A little kid dressed in orange has single-handedly destroyed his entire crew. He knew that a shinobi was coming for his life. He was told by a masked man, receiving a small fortune in exchange, that the local villagers secretly hired the same leaf shinobi who saved their country